Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Charlotte Montgomery is suing Haley Bennett in the amount of $2,400. Ms. Montgomery claims Ms. Bennett was supposed to work off a loan by helping with a remodeling project and says the defendant quit after 2 weeks.
In the matter of Charlotte Montgomery versus Haley Bennett, Ms. Montgomery, you're suing her for $2,400. You're saying she breached her contract of employment. Tell me what happened.
Miss Bennett and I, we know each other because she is dating my sister. Basically, I know she just graduated from construction school. I just bought a house for a really good price, and so I was working with a contractor to basically get my house remodeled. She asked me for money originally, and I wasn't okay with giving her the money because I know how Haley is, because she's been with my sister for a while, so I know how she can be. The contractor actually asked me if he needed an assistant. So I said, well, I know Haley just graduated, and so I let him know that she would be a perfect fit for it. So I told her, yes, you can work for me. So I hired her for $13 an hour as an assistant to the contractor. She worked for 2 weeks and then she stopped.
How many hours? A regular 8-hour day?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was just a little taken back as to why she would stop working for me, especially being that she was borrowing a lot of money. Initially, she asked me for money to help her with her car. She asked me for $2,500.
Did you loan it?
I loaned it to her,
Okay.
yes. I loaned her $2,500.
So this was before she started working for you?
Yes, that was the original, when she first asked me. And so that's when I told her, I'm just gonna take a second to think about it before I actually loan you the money.
Okay, so you're saying she asked me for money and I didn't want to give it to her. So are you telling me now that she asked to borrow this $2,500, instead of giving her the cash money, you said, I'll loan you the money, in exchange for that you work?
Yes.
So she was gonna work off her debt?
Yes, essentially. So after the $2,500, then a week later, she asked me for $200 to buy my sister a Christmas gift and a birthday gift. Then she asked me.
Did you give it to her?
I loaned it to her, yes.
Okay, so now you loan her another $200.
Yes. Then she asked me for another $1,000 because she was behind on bills. So after that.
So what, you the money tree?
Well, I mean, I help my sister out. And so I guess she felt comfortable asking me because of my sister, because they're together. And so I told her, like, you know, I don't have a problem for you working it off because I just know how Haley is. So that's why I didn't want to just loan it to her, because I knew she wouldn't pay me back.
So now we're up to $3,700?
Yes.
Okay. And over what period of time?
This was over about a few months.
She hasn't worked a day and you loaning more money.
Yes.
Go on.
So I actually drew up a contract. We had a loan agreement contract.
Oh, you finally drew up a contract?
Well, yes. So we had a loan agreement contract, and then this is the contract of employment.
You know they're two separate things, right?
Yes.
Go on.
She just stopped working because she said she felt like she was uncomfortable in the situation. I own my own business, and I know what goes on, so I just didn't really feel like she was doing her part in the whole situation. Being that this is my house, I would, just come sometimes. Sometimes I would bring them lunch, or I would just supervise, just look over it, just make sure everything is going as planned, because I was getting different parts of my house remodeled. So I just wanted to see the progress that the contractor and her and his workers were on.
Well, servitude is over, and involuntary servitude is no longer allowed. Did you realize that?
Yes.
Okay.
But like I said, it was a loan. It was just a loan.
You're not tied to work to pay off the loan. Not tied to work for me to pay off the loan. That's called involuntary servitude. Slavery. You familiar with that concept?
Yes.
In history?
Yes.
You can't do that anymore. Ms. Bennett, what happened?
Well, I'll give her, it wasn't involuntary because
the goal was I was getting paid from the job. It was a job I
so
wanted.
it was a job for you to learn the trade in the industry.
Yes.
And you agreed to repay her the money
From the money.
from that
Yeah,
working.
and then I would be making extra. I'd have extra from that. But I didn't do it carelessly. I knew how much I would get by the end of the job, which the goal was to finish. And so I was behind on bills, so of course it was more of an advancement of pay. Can you, because I know her personally, lend me some money, and obviously.
Sounds like you were behind on everything.
Yeah.
Sounds like you just were using her as your bank.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
Basically what I thought was my dream job turned into a nightmare. From day one, it was just sexual harassment from the crew. I actually got a recording of one instance.
Hey, yo, Ma, come here.
And later,
The apartment caught on fire and I lost $3,800 worth of goods. I believe she's responsible. She hired this child after it was well known in the neighborhood that this child was irresponsible.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Charlotte Montgomery, who is suing Haley Bennett for breach of contract.
How do you just walk up to somebody and say, can you give me $2,500?
Well, I asked as a loan.
Wow. So which part of the construction were you doing?
Mainly I do a lot of carpentry work, so I was helping with the shelves, but I would assist him with paperwork, and if something needed to be transported from one part of the site to another, I would help with that.
What happened?
Basically what I thought was my dream job turned into a nightmare. From day one, it was just sexual harassment from the crew every single day.
From day one?
Yeah, when I started working
What
there.
was the sexual harassment?
First it was catcalling. In one instance, I told them I wasn't interested in men in the first place. I said I was a lesbian, and the main guy behind it just said, "Oh, I'd love to see you in action." And then he said that if he had a chance with me, I would change my mind about women. Every time I was carrying something, they'd be like staring at my body. I'd hear snide remarks. I'd hear stuff like, I must be good with my hands. And
how long did this go on?
I worked there for
2 weeks.
2 weeks. It was about 3.
2 weeks.
2 weeks I paid, well, I
2
was still
weeks.
on the site for 3.
2 weeks. And this started happening from the beginning, you
Yes.
said? So when did you tell Ms. Montgomery, or you just walked off?
Well, no, I told her. At first I thought I could deal with it, right? And then after a week, I thought I need to go tell her what's happening. She just disregarded it.
Not true.
What happened? Did she tell you? Did she come to you with any complaint about the gentleman's conduct?
So I spoke to him, and he said that nothing happened. He said that actually Haley was lazy. She didn't do anything. Every time he would ask her to do something, she was always talking back, or she'll be like, I don't have to do anything because I'm Charlotte's sister's girlfriend. I'm just here for learning.
So he denied the sexual harassment?
Yes. I just told him, this shouldn't be an uncomfortable work environment for her because she is learning and she wants to succeed in her career. And so what he ended up doing was he actually drew me up a paper saying that, and notarized it saying that nothing happened with his employees and with her, and that she was basically making it all up, and it was a professional environment.
So he denies the sexual harassment?
Yes.
And you say it continued, so by the second week you left?
It kept going on, so I actually got a recording of one instance.
Okay, is this before or after you had complained to her?
After.
All right, let me
And
hear
I submitted it.
Let me hear it.
Okay, I see you.
Where are you going?
Hey, yo, Ma, come here. All right, now, okay. I like that.
It's not directed towards her. You can't even hear.
Yes, I was the only woman on site. Well, they knew me from that I was there the whole time, and I made it known that it's unwanted sexual harassment.
Okay, so now how do you propose to pay her back then, now that you quit the job and it was sexual harassment?
Well, I told her I'd be willing to do another job for her, and she
no,
just
I don't want
said
you
no.
working for me. No. She just walks off.
And then I told her I am looking for another job, but because
How many hours did she work and how much money did she actually earn?
She earned about $1,300.
Okay.
So she paid off that. So what's left is the $2,400 that she does owe me. So
So how do you propose to pay that off? You signed the agreement to pay her $3,700 because you're not working.
Well, I am looking for another job, but because of the weather, it's hard to find a lot of
it's been
construction
9
work.
months.
Right, but
It doesn't
she's-
take that long to find a job.
You can do something. Well, I don't know how long it takes to find a job.
Not enough to pay her back. I still have my own
Yeah, but what do you still have your own what?
bills.
Really? Her debt is a bill too. What did I tell somebody? Didn't I just say that the other day? That if you keep loaning other folks money, friends, relatives, grandma, grandpa, sisters, brothers, that they'll always say to you, sister, brother, friend, I got other bills to pay. I got other things to do with that money. You always come last. Because Johnny and the mailman and the utility bill and the grocery bill and the car note and everything else for them becomes much more important than the money they owe you. She's never gonna pay you back. I'm gonna make an order, but I trust you. Trust me. I doubt if you'll ever see this money again. People like her just gonna keep asking other folks for money and keep being in debt. She was in debt when you were in debt when you asked her for the money. So she's no longer a creditor. Everybody else is a creditor, but not her. That's why you kept borrowing from her, because she wasn't charging you 25% interest.
Right.
And because you didn't have to fill out a credit application that you never would have passed, and no one else would have loaned it to you. Because you didn't have a job and you were in debt till you're behind.
The plan was to...
Oh, I don't hear no plan. You ain't never planned to pay this woman back, please. And you're going to go to her for more money. Within a month and a half, you went to this woman over and over again talking about give me more, loan me more, give me more, loan me more. You didn't plan to pay her back. You were just using her as a patsy, and you're going to keep on doing it as long as she lets you. I hope you've learned your lesson with her and your sister. These are two grown behind women.
Yeah, I understand.
Let them work and make their own money. But if you want to, keep loaning it to them.
No.
But you're going to be broke. And I guarantee you they won't loan you anything. Judgment for the plaintiff to pay her the $2,400.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $2,400.
The judge was right. This was a teaching lesson. I will never loan you money again.
I'm sorry this happened, but I hope you treat your employees better in the future.
Coming up,
She hired a neighborhood fire starter to watch her apartment caught on fire, and I lost $3,800 worth of goods.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Connor Binns is suing Leanne Elstein in the amount of $3,800. Mr. Binns claims his apartment almost burned to the ground and blames his landlord for hiring a pyromaniac to watch her cats.
The matter of Connor Binns versus Leanne Elstein, you're suing her, alleging that it's her fault that your property was damaged because of a fire to your previous apartment?
Correct, Your Honor. She hired a neighborhood fire starter to watch her apartment while she was out of town, specifically to watch her cats. She hired this child, knowing that this child has had issues in this neighborhood, doing the exact same job she hired her to do.
Is she a child? For
15?
real?
Yes.
Tell me what happened to you that you're suing the landlord.
Because the apartment caught on fire, and I lost $3,800 worth of goods. Our adjoining wall caught on fire, destroyed my TV, jackets, couch, some other furniture.
So you think it's her fault for hiring the babysitter? Let's not call her name. She's not here to defend herself, and she's a minor, so we won't call her name. So, but you think you're holding the landlord responsible because she hired her to cat sit at her apartment?
Right, knowing full well.
Ms. Elstein, what do you have to say?
I don't think that I am responsible for this. For one, I'm not the parent of the teenager. And for two, we have a lease together.
Are you the landlord?
Yes.
And you live in the duplex adjoining?
Yes.
Okay, so what does the lease say?
Doesn't require that he gets rented insurance, but it suggests
Strongly
rented insurance.
suggests that he get rented
Yes.
insurance.
Coming up,
I don't really get along with Mr. Binns for other reasons, but
We did up until about a year and a half ago when Leanne made a pass at me, Judge.
closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Connor Binns, who is suing Leanne Elstein for negligence.
Now tell me what happened in terms of this fire.
Well, I had hired this teenager to watch my cat while I went out on vacation with my own teenager.
Weekend, a day, or how long?
It was a week. I don't really get along with Mr. Benz for other reasons, but I wanted to give her a chance. She had started a babysitting business of her own. She was doing very well in school.
And who is this child? Is she a neighbor?
Yes.
All right.
Obviously, when I came back, the fire had gotten out of control. My whole apartment was destroyed. And knowing that how he could feel, I made sure that he had a hotel room to go to. I put him up for at least a couple months so that he could have time to get into his own apartment. And
Yes, Judge, that was very nice.
I didn't ask you to say anything. You paid for him to go to a hotel?
yes, I
for
did.
For how long?
For 3 months.
You think she should pay you for the damage to your furniture and other items?
Correct. I believe she's responsible. She hired this child after it was well known in the neighborhood that this child was irresponsible and that this incident had occurred. I myself had offered to watch her cats while she was out of town, but she declined.
Like
that
I
offer.
said, we don't get along.
We don't get along. We did up until about a year and a half ago when Leanne made a pass at me, Judge.
So why would she let you watch her cats when you don't get along? She wouldn't trust you. She may think that you may kill her cats since you don't like her.
Well,
allow them
I
to
like
die.
her just fine, Judge.
Well,
There's no personal
but,
animosity there on my part. I just didn't want to go on a date with her. And I think she held a grudge there and therefore hired this child whose father she's interested in romantically.
That has nothing to do with it.
You know what? You are really caught up on who she's interested in, the fact that she wasn't interested in you. You got this whole thing about interest and who likes who and who doesn't like who, and that is not relevant in this case at all. But you got your little dig in, and I let it go, but it has no relevance, and it doesn't help your case at all.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
Is she required not to allow a person to babysit her cat and to come to her apartment if she wants to, just because you had a problem with them? That is not the law. This is not an employer-employee situation where you know and you have a duty to the employee not to hire someone that you know is a criminal or can cause bad things to happen. That is not the law with respect to individual persons allowing people to babysit. They can allow whomever they want to babysit. If an accident occurs, or if your house, when you're a tenant and you're renting, if you have property damage, unless it's actually caused by the landlord, then the landlord doesn't have to pay. That's why you're supposed to get renter's insurance for your property, the things that you own. Now, she does have to give you another place to live, and she does have to put the house back in order for you to live in it, or just not accept your rent while the place is being repaired. Did you not pay rent while the place was being repaired?
Right.
And she put you in a hotel for 3 months. Is that right?
Correct.
And after those 3 months, the place was back in repair.
Minus my $3,800 in possessions.
But the property itself, the duplex, was back in a order that you could live in it.
Correct.
Is that correct? So judgment for the defendant.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
Well, the judge didn't rule in my favor, but if it keeps that child from starting another fire, it was worth it.
Well, you should have had renter's insurance.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.